Didik TV KPM.
And we are back for Upper Form on Didik TV KPM together with me, Sean Stephen, and also Puan Sugi. Of course, it's English, and we're going to shop till we drop. Over to you.
Okay, thank you, Sean. All right, now let's look at what we have here. We have an article, and based on our previous learning lesson, right? Students are supposed to know how to write an article. We teach them in Form 4.
Okay.
Okay. So today is we're going to talk about what attracts your attention when reading an article.
All right.
There must be something that makes you send out the message to your readers, right? Okay. Now let's start with a pre-writing activity, right? How to make your article come alive, right? Not by words jumping out, but let's have someone read for us the tips that we can find here. Okay, would anyone like to volunteer? Anybody would like to volunteer to read this? Okay, Bhavan. Thank you very much, Bhavan. Can you please read for us?
Sure. Unlike essays, which have a more serious way of discussing ideas, articles can entertain as well as inform readers. Your tone of voice can be less formal, and you can get your readers' attention by talking to them in a more direct way. Use words like we and us to make readers feel included in what you're writing about. And try putting some of your ideas in the form of a question. For example, how would you feel if?
That's right. Thank you, Bhavan. Okay, so these are some important points that we must remember when writing an article. Okay, the whole idea of an article is to entertain. It's to inform. Therefore, your tone is required to be less formal. There's no need for you to write anything more in a more formal setting, because this is an article usually being read by someone who is your age. Okay, so you can use words, inclusive words like we, us, to make your readers feel a part of your world. All right, and besides that, you can also put in your ideas in the form of a question. So there's no need for you to think about what you're going to say or make a sentence. Your sentence can be converted into a form of a question. All right? Okay, so now as we can see, here are some features of an opening paragraph. Now, what is an opening paragraph? An opening paragraph is the first thing that your readers will read about. Okay, and that is what makes them want to read further. All right, can someone please read for us what are the tips that we have to know before writing an opening paragraph? Right, would anybody like to volunteer? Anyone? Okay, Hugo, what are some features?
Entertain and inform. For the tone, it should be less formal. And usage of we and us. And also ideas in the form of questions.
That's right. So remember this, everyone. Thank you, Hugo. Remember this, everyone, that you must look into these tips before you write. Not only your opening paragraph, but all the other paragraphs that you're going to write for your article. Okay? All right. Now, let's go on to activity number 1, which can be found on page 52 of your textbook. Right. Let me start by reading the task. Now, read these 2 alternative opening paragraphs and tick the one you think would make most readers continue reading the article. The whole idea is to make it interesting so that people would want to continue reading the article. Okay, can I get someone to read me the first paragraph, please? Anybody? Volunteer, please? Who would like to read the first paragraph?
Maybe we can get Eka.
Eka, can you read for us the first one?
Can, teacher.
Thank you.
Many people spend too much money on new technology these days. They often change their mobile phones every year, for example, as new models are produced.
That's right. Thank you, Eka. As you can see, this is more in the form of sentences. Okay, let's look at the second one. Who would like to read the second one? Any volunteers? Who would like to read the second one? How about...
Okay, I think Bhavan is...
Bhavan looks very interested.
Yeah, I saw her finger raised just now.
All right, Bhavan, can you please read for us?
Sure. How often do you buy a new mobile phone? We all want to have the latest technology, but are we spending too much money on it?
Thank you, Bhavan. All right, so after reading these two opening paragraphs, now everyone at home as well, think about it. Which one do you think will make your reader want to read the article further? Okay, so let's look at Bhavan. Do you have an answer? Right, since you are the last to read, I'm going to call you. Which one do you think is more suitable?
I think the second paragraph is more suitable because the tone is less formal as well as the ideas are in the form of questions.
That's right, okay, and we have used the tips that we learned just now, Sean, right? So Bhavan has remembered that, and let's look at the sample answer. The sample answer says this is the correct one, okay? So paragraph number 2 indicates a better opening paragraph, all right? Very good. Okay, now we shall go on to activity number 2. We're still on page 52, okay, so there's no need for you to go anywhere else. Now, I shall read the task for you. Read this opening paragraph and use the language bank on the next page to help you rewrite it in a more interesting way for a teenage magazine. Now, it's very important that you remember who your audience members are. Your audience members are teenagers just like you. So, you have to use words or you have to plan your writing in a way that is interesting. So here the language bank has asked you to read this by asking the readers some questions. So in a way you are talking to your readers. Okay, so these are some of the phrases you can use. For example, I would like to get Hugo to read for me a few of these examples given in the language bank. Hugo.
Okay.
Thank
How
you.
often do you? Okay, then we got how much do you? And then do you? Could you? Would you? Can you imagine? Have you? Or do you ever? How would you feel if? Including the reader, you, your, we, our, and us.
That's right. Right? So this would indicate that all of you are in the same boat. All right? You are teenagers who enjoy doing teenage-related stuff. Okay? Okay, so familiarize yourself with the language bank before you actually go on. All right, now we have the paragraph, the activity 2. This is the actual activity that you have to do. All right, so let's get someone to read for us, please. Who is going to read for us? Who's going to read this paragraph for us? Maybe, okay, Izan has put up his hand. Thank you.
Teenagers are often told they spend too much money on brand name fashion. They often buy expensive trainers, for example, when cheaper ones are just as good.
That's right. Okay, thank you, Izan. Now you can see basically there are 2 sentences here. So a safe way to think would be if you have 2 sentences in your opening paragraph, maybe you can think about having questions to modify your answer. So in this case, this activity wants us to write in a more interesting manner. So how do we go about doing that? Let's go back to Izan. Izan, in this, using this paragraph, how many questions do you think you can formulate from this paragraph itself?
I think there's 2 questions that we can write in the paragraph.
Okay, very good. All right, so let's look at the sample answer. Okay, as you can see, there are 2 question marks, so it would indicate 2 paragraphs that have been converted into question forms. All right, so everyone at home, we also look back at how the sentence was written. Teenagers are often told they spend too much money on brand name fashion. That has been converted to a question form. Eka, can you please read for us the question?
Sure. How often have we been told that we spend too much money on brand name fashion?
That's right. Very good. Thank you, Eka. And the second sentence here is, they often buy expensive trainers, for example, when cheaper ones are just as good. This has been converted to a question form. I would like to call Eka again, if you don't mind. Can you
Sure.
please read?
Would you replace your expensive shoes for cheaper ones that are just as good?
That's right. Thank you very much, Eka. So now you can see, everyone at home, you can see the difference between how is it when you write in a sentence form and how is it when you write in a question form. It sounds more interesting.
That's right. And going back to the points that you mentioned earlier as well, if I can recap, the 4 points. Obviously, number one is to entertain and inform. I think when it is very, if it's too informative or if it's too, too formal, so to say, people like teenagers who have maybe shorter attention span or the style of writing they would enjoy is definitely different as compared to people of our age or those who are older, correct?
Correct.
So even here what I notice is also the usage of the words we, you, us. So that actually gets the readers involved, because if I was comparing the two paragraphs or the two different articles which actually have the same points. They actually have the same points, it's just that you converted it somehow to make it more interesting. There's like a hook that wants me to just continue reading it, because I would read this article as compared to the other article that didn't have any questions.
Correct.
So just to recap on the 4 points that Puan Sugi has shared with us is, of course, entertain and inform, which I think this is way entertaining as compared to the previous article. The tone is less formal because of it turning into a question, right? It becomes less formal, less, I would say, less monotonous in a sense. And then there's also the usage of we and us, which I explained earlier, getting the reader involved. I'm so involved in this right now. And also ideas in the form of questions, which is definitely very attractive. Even I'm not a teenager, but I'm definitely interested to read the next sentence to this article. So right now, I guess we're going to take a short break, and we're going to be back to you for Menengah Atas or Upper Form on Didik TV.
Didik TV KPM.